Initiate release sequencer. On my mark. 5.
We're on express elevator to hell. Going down.
2. 1. Mark.
Welcome back to the Resupply with me, Guy Next Door.
Me, DK.
And me, Than.
Bringing you your weekly, I could say weekly, double tap.
Totally weekly. We've been good of late.
We have been bringing you your weekly double tap of all things Space Marines and Laser Force. Hey guys, how are you this week? What's going on?
That's alright, I was just in meetings for 3 hours. Please kill me.
I keep forgetting it's not Saturday for you. And I was like, why is he having meetings on the weekend? What a sucker. But you know,
Yeah. And also, who schedules 3 hours of meetings on the Friday before a long weekend? Like that.
Colleges.
That seems super problematic to me.
Because this is like faculty professional development week to like get all your meetings out of the way because classes start next week. So yeah, the full timers had it way worse than me. They've had to be in it basically for like 2 days straight, listening to people give very self-important speeches about what they're doing to increase student inclusivity while they're paying part-timers complete peanuts. So that's my life.
Yay!
Yay!
Underpaying people who definitely don't deserve to be underpaid. But you know, what are you gonna do?
So you know, that's why they say you gotta dress for the job you want, not for the job that you have. So
well, to you,
they're not gonna pay me. I'm not showing up to their meetings.
I say aloha.
Not dressed in pajama pants.
Hey, say that for your OnlyFans.
Suck on that, society.
Is anyone else having issues with the video? Suspect it's your PC being slow. I don't know what would be causing that, Morgan. I'm sad.
Yeah,
I'm sad.
Yeah, Morgan, I'm pretty sure it's just your PC or your internet connection. One of those two things that is unfortunately a you problem and not a resupply problem for a change.
It was Boris.
Oh,
Boris did it.
You know, give it some time. I've managed to catch one of the tech problems early, like before we went live. So, but there's nothing to say that there's not going to be another one that creeps in. We'll get a power cut, or you know, stupid loud ass vehicles will drive past us. Some sort of large hot rod convention will happen in my driveway. I don't know, something stupid. But yeah, it's been a cool week, sort of. Yeah, we're getting back into work, so. There's like boat racing and stuff happening outside my window. All sorts of cool stream stuff's happened this week. It's been a rad week.
Well, I'm glad that somebody has been having a rad week as opposed to, you know, just stuck in professional development meetings, or in my case, stuck in a pre-planning meeting for the actual planning meeting in 3 weeks.
Yo, dog, I heard you like meetings.
If that's
what
not
the fuck is a pre-planning meeting? If you're planning, so it's a fucking planning meeting. It's not pre-planning.
How did the
by the definition, planning happens before something else. Hence pre. There's no fucking pre-planning.
Well, so did you guys pre-plan the pre-planning meeting? Is that how that kind of works?
So I realize you're trying to be funny, but the answer to that question is yes. There is actually pre-planning that goes into the pre-planning meeting.
Corporate is stupid.
Oh, you fucking cogs in corporate America.
Hey, I am...
Go back in your shoebox.
I am a slightly larger cog than I used to be, and I'm hoping by the end of this month, my pay packet will actually, actually match the size of the cog that I am.
Hashtag humble brag.
Well, that's why you get paid the big bucks, and Steve and I are scraping by on Twitch donations.
Check out the size of my cog. This is how that works. Hello, chat. Nice to see you all here. Stallion, in no way did we promise fun-filled and exciting content.
Actually, I kind of
I stand corrected.
In the general Yarns chat.
Yeah.
Discord. I did actually.
You can go ahead and provide that. I
Yeah.
don't have to do anything.
Just FYI, the thoughts and views of Old Man Than in no way reflect the thoughts and views of this podcast.
I feel like that's wrong somehow.
Oh, it's very wrong. We got to talk about some stuff now. Heathen this week brought up an interesting topic in the Discord. If you haven't done so already, follow us or come join our Discord, !Discord in chat, and it'll take you to our link. All of you who are here are already part of our Discord, but if you're not, come and join the conversation. So Heathen was going to do a show this week on his channel, and then he didn't end up doing it, and so we were like, fuck it, let's steal that idea and we'll do it on Twitch ourselves. So there has been some Discord about this topic, because I think it's something that kind of affects every Laser Force site. But we figured we'd talk about it here because why not? We're bereft of any original ideas, so
Accurate.
let's just we'll just continue the conversation that happens in Discord. Little do you know, all the conversations you have in Discord, we write down in a little book and say, here's what we're gonna steal for this week's show. So that's right, every site except for Brisbane. But as Stan pointed out, or somebody pointed out during the week, Brisbane is most definitely the exception to the rule. Now, I just want to preface this with, obviously there's a lot of sites around the world that aren't actually, they're not allowed to operate. So obviously, if your site isn't allowed to operate, this kind of only applies for sites that are allowed to have people come and play there. Obviously, there's nothing we could do to fix that. So.
No, well, in that case, I'm gonna peace out of this podcast. I'll see you guys later.
Poor Sacramento. But yeah, it is something that I know a lot of people have. Like, I've had conversations with multiple people from our site, and also brief conversations with our our ownership about this stuff. Because I mean, driving business to your site, I mean that's how you get customers, right? You have people come and play. So, the other thing I want to preface this with is, whilst these two below have had extensive experience with running sites, I want to say, or at least driving players to sites, I haven't, and these are just like, I don't know, tips that may or may not work, but they're worth a try. So with all that out of the way, where would you guys like to start?
Well, I think one of the first things we kind of need to hit with this is, for those that are in chat and watching the stream and listening to this pod later, that are consistent listeners. I mean, we did relatively recently, within the last 3 or 4 months, do a similar topic as far as building members nights and whatnot, but that was done more from the perspective of the management side of things and that benefit. And while there's going to be some crossover with this show, with the things we talked about in this show that we talked about in that show, it's different enough that hopefully you won't get bored. And if you're bored, well, sorry, it's not like you're paying for the content.
Well, some of you.
Some of you. Okay, that's fair. The kind of the secondary thing to this is pretty much anything that that we're going to discuss, or that you guys. I'm assuming people are going to pop into chat with stuff as we're talking, because we've turned into a very interactive show, which is fantastic. But one of the big takeaways in all this is, if management is 100% dead set against having members night / regular / any of that, unfortunately, a lot of
not much you can do.
Yeah, that's a there's this stuff only works and only has a chance to work if the management at the site that you're hitting wants it to even have a chance to do a thing. So if you're listening to this and you've got a laser tag site, doesn't have to be a laser force, can be any site, and any equipment whatsoever. But if the management really is not happy or wants to have advanced play going at their site, you're probably not gonna get much love out of anything.
So rule number 1: don't piss off management. That's step 1.
Yeah, and that's and that really is like if you're trying to build any type of night, whether it's but whether it's even just trying to get a hey, on a weekend night, can we have a block of time where a bunch of standard games get played, whatever. Yeah, don't piss off your management. And Stouthead makes a great point in chat. It's like an amusement ride. You must have this minimum amount of management support to play. That is 100% accurate.
Yeah,
Such an accurate statement.
I mean, our ownership might beg to differ on that one. Or maybe he was very apathetic at best.
Apathetic beats hostile.
I mean, yeah, and I said at best. Yeah.
Yeah, but you can work with apathetic, because apathetic implies a certain level of okay, maybe I don't care, but if you can maybe if you can show me something, we'll do more. Openly hostile is like that's really hard to work with.
Yeah. I think that one comes from difficult personalities crossed with like one or two difficult or yeah, one or two, basically personality clashes usually that like sets a poor precedence. Yeah.
And Trudge actually hits a thing in chat that was definitely going to be part of this. Rein in your ultra competitive members. That there are very few ways to get on the bad side of management faster than to have hyper competitive members coming in and playing at times where they probably shouldn't be, or playing at a intensity level that they probably shouldn't be, i.e., coming in on Saturday mornings and playing against birthday parties.
Massacre those kids.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's probably that's not a happy thing for management to have to deal with. I mean, obviously, even if you manage to get the night and pull people to that sort of advanced play, you still have to there's still a bit of reining in that may need to happen at times. But
yeah, don't scream at the new people.
And
too much. Like a little bit.
And I guess like a question as a regular member that I would have is, when is a new person no longer a new person? Therefore, when do you get to start yelling at them?
After about like a month of members' nights.
Just a month. Wow.
Yeah. Well, if you're playing every week, I'm like, after a month, you gotta show me something. If you haven't shown any progress over the first 4 weeks, like,
man, DK's hard.
I gotta see something.
DK is harsh, but at the same time, that was pretty much the model that we used in Sacramento for a long time. I mean, brand new to the night, you do a lot of coaching and that first night trying to have people not be overly frustrated, because depending upon how they've come to the members night, there can be a wide range of what their ability is, which we're gonna back this up half a step. If you're assuming that you're trying to build, let's say, your first ever regulars night, you're a fresh site, maybe you've got one or two people that have picked it up quickly and are like, hey, we'd like to do a little more, as it were. Or maybe you've played it at another site before, and now you have a different home site, so you have that additional game knowledge that isn't going to be common because it's a new site. And this can be painful if you love Space 5 like so many of us do. But if you're trying to build a brand new night, do not start with Space 5 as your first game.
Not if you're starting from scratch. No.
Mm.
No. If you're so it's like in Sacramento when we started, we were fortunate enough to have owners that were really enthusiastic. Like when Sacramento opened in '97, all 5 owners at the time were all super enthusiastic about it, which helps. But as far as like the evolution of game and how that all went, I mean, it was basically like Space Marines 4 was the first real team game that got played, because CTF and things like that didn't exist at that point.
They didn't exist yet. Yeah.
Yeah, that's like going way old school.
And even so, SM4 would still be a better, I feel like, introduction, because it still uses the same basic engine. CTF is completely different than SM5.
I think there's another aspect to that as well. Is anybody else noticing a beeping in the background? Not that I can hear, bro, unless my freezer is open. In which case, peace.
Venom was in charge of new player development. That fucking guy.
So the other thing as well is that you're getting that noise too. I don't know what to tell you guys. Sorry.
Well,
high quality
sorry,
content.
you two have bombs in your house. Better go find them.
Ooh, that's a threatening thing to say. Yeah. So like getting your members base a love for laser tag. And we're starting to notice the effects of that with so like our current membership base has a lot of newer players, and by newer I mean started within the last 5 years. And when they started, we basically just played Space Marines. And what we're starting to notice now that we've had a few people move away, or have families or whatever, stop playing for one reason or another, there is less people wanting to play any other laser force game than Space Marines. If we're not playing Space 5, they don't want to play. And I think starting with those other games creates a love for those other games, or at least an appreciation of those other games, so that if you're in a lull with your membership base, you can still play with less than 10 people if you wanted, because you can play a bunch of fun individual games and have it not
I heard it. I think it is on your end, Steve.
Is it?
I think I heard it. Either that or they've just incepted me.
It's possible.
I don't know.
I can't hear. I got noise cancelling headphones on, so.
All right, and then Russ.
Oh, you know what it is. Hang on. You guys keep talking. I will return.
Okay. Russ comes in with the counterpoint of Wabbit season. Wabbit season is not fun, and
We didn't say all other games. There are just some other games that you could play. And like to Steve's point, Okay, so if you're just starting the night from scratch, obviously don't start with Space Marines 5. But if you have an established Space Marines 5 night, and that's the only night you usually play SM5, my feeling has always been what you guys need is a secondary night, which we kind of had for a while in SAC then. We used to recruit from like Friday and Saturday night, Midnight Madness, Late Night Lunacy stuff, the lock-ins, those kinds of things to move people over to the Space Marines night and all that. Now I know that really isn't an option for everybody, but that was certainly my goal when we were trying to build things back up in SAC, was to create a secondary night where basically we would play other member games, but not Space Marines 5, to use that as an intro point to get people over to Mondays. Now, it didn't really work out for the most part because we would try to get Tim Beal to show up, and then if there was very little Gen Pub there, we would just play Space Marines anyway, but at least kind of tried to have the option to like get some people in. Then we were talking earlier about like when SAC first opened.
Yep.
I feel like that kind of was the standard. Is there was league night, and then like I think it was like Thursday nights or something, right? Was the special like member discounted games. Like this week it's like $5 Time Warp games, and next week it's $5 Highlander games and stuff like that to like kind of cycle through the other games. That was how I remember learning all the other games, was going to those Wednesday or Thursday nights, whatever they were. I feel like it was Thursday, but it doesn't matter. It wasn't league night. It was a different night, and like you learned the other games. So I learned how to play Gladiator and Time Warp and Highlander, and I don't think they even had Shadows yet. So that was, but down the line. So you learned how to play other games. So you started getting people in to become more familiar with some of the other features they'll need to play the other advanced games. How do missiles work? How do you manage shots? How do you manage lives? Things that you want to have second nature when you start playing Space Marines that not everybody does. Missiles, how do they work? I don't know, Russ. If you played something with missiles, you would know.
So you push the button, right? Yeah, that's exactly what you do. You push the button.
Totally.
Can't find the source of that beeping. I can't even hear it, so I have a sneaking suspicion it's coming from inside the house. But I couldn't tell you from where.
Coming from inside the house.
Again, every fucking time I change something, the beeping has disappeared. But good. But every time I change something mysterious happens. This one is probably
that's just your ankle
mysterious.
monitor telling you it's time to get up and walk around again.
Hey, that's profiling, that is. Don't make that joke.
You're too sedentary. You must get up and walk around.
Oh, I thought you were talking about a different kind of ankle bracelet.
Maybe.
What I miss, they're inside the goddamn walls. I mean, that might be accurate. There's a lot of shit in here, and most of it has electronic components, so it could be any number of things. Yes. So, please continue. Please continue the discussion.
Continue
The
talking.
discussion what you're on. So yeah, if you can have a secondary night, so much the better. And that's where I feel like the kind of crossover, the partnership with management and just with your regular employees too. If the employees are interested, that becomes a much better way. That's how you get a lot of your recruiting done. I mean, if Slam Man comes by, you can ask Stalker about this. Him and Twig coming by on Saturdays and Sundays when I was working, that's how I got them to come over to member nights and start playing on Mondays, all that kind of stuff. So if your employees will kind of guide people into those other games, that's by far the easiest way. If you don't have employees who are going to do that, then yeah, you're going to have to probably take another night or two out of your week to go when it is busiest. Probably not during the kid birthday parties, but yeah, on like a Friday or Saturday night when maybe you get some of the older kids and young adults who are coming into play, and see if they're interested in playing some other kinds of games. Obviously, still getting cooperation from management. But yeah, like that, like those first couple generations of employees that we had in SACTHAN, they were like as good as you could possibly get when it came to interest in the game, recruiting people, caring about what happened at the facility, all the way up to I would say like maybe late 2000, and then it kind of started to get watered down. Like
Terrible
after I started
customer
working there, they're terrible customer service, so they love tag. Hey, passion is what drives things.
That's right.
Yeah, it
Customer service is overrated.
yeah. Well, no, but it really piggybacking on that, it really
Whoa!
can't. Heathen gifting subs.
Oh, legend. Heathen's paying for the gift sub they got from Slam Man to the community. Thank you very much, Heathen.
Nice.
Very generous of you. That's so bright. Jesus Christ.
Donate a sub
Yeah,
to
that is-
Traj. Traj wasn't subbed already. I'm disappointed, Traj.
A piece of shit.
and disappoint. But yeah, I mean, having staff members that actually are passionate about the game that's another one of those X factors that you hope you have with your site, because yeah, from in Sacramento, I'm going to go through. I'm not even going to get to say necessarily through late 2000. I'm going to say basically until about the time they sold it and made it a zone. So 2004. Mostly through that point, and definitely through like 2000 2001. Like the entire the entire staff played, whether it was the party coaches or or the marshals, and it was like everybody played. Didn't matter, didn't matter what their primary function was, and even the people that didn't necessarily play competitively on league nights, or or even necessarily played a bunch of the advanced games, they still understood the game well enough to be able to kind of spark that excitement in people. So yeah, but that also kind of ties into into management and how much they care, in quotes, about the laser tag experience. I mean, obviously they need
This
to,
distraction is brought to you by
they have to staff
#DKS
their
Tech
facility.
Problems,
That's a given.
causing problems
But you
since
hope
ages
that
ago.
when they're staffing it, the people that they're hiring do have some of that, passion, excitement about, hey, I'm working at the laser tag place. It's fun. It's supposed to be fun.
Yeah, I've never really
It's supposed to be
understood. I'm
exciting.
like, there's a billion shitty jobs out there. If you don't like laser tag, why would you work at a laser tag place? There's a bunch of other shitty jobs shitty retail jobs that'll pay you.
Maybe when you were getting
wages also.
shitty jobs. Not anymore. You take what you could get. Thank you for those bits, Heathen. That's very nice of you. Perhaps I will turn off text-to-speech during any future Resupply podcast, though, because I missed most of what Dan was talking about. But that's okay.
I heard it before.
So okay, yeah. Russ saying fans so passionate he yelled at Jen Pope for not getting resets and got fired. That is not the reason I got fired. You got fired.
You got fired? Wow.
Oh yeah, no, I 100% got fired from Sacramento, and then I stayed around to keep running the members' nights and still never paid for laser tag. So
Perfect.
it still worked out. It still worked out well in my favor. I just no longer
Point
actually
anyway. It was all just a long con to get free laser tags. So who cares?
Yeah.
Yeah, no,
what's worse? People who own laser tag sites and hate laser tag. Yeah, it's not great. If the ownership don't have a passion for the game, then yeah, it makes things a little harder. If they actively hate it, I don't know why they would own it. I mean,
maybe they're using it as a front to launder their drug money.
in which case they don't give a shit. If you get fired at the arena here, you're banned for 6 months. I think you would have to do something interesting to get fired from a site and your ownership still want you around, Than.
Yeah, so there was a request in chat for story time. I mean, sure. So I know that you're all going to be shocked by this.
Cameras in the bathroom. Just calling it right here. Is that what you did?
Oh, dear Lord. No.
Apologies.
I eBayed for
Please
6
continue.
months.
Yeah, that
Wow.
might get you trespassed, actually. Just quietly.
Yeah. So, yeah, and DK and Steve are going to be the most shocked by this, but I've got a little bit of a temper / I don't necessarily deal with the general public all that well at times. I realize you're all shocked to hear that perhaps my patience level for people is not always
Cue than face.
Now.
yeah. So I had this really cool trick, a really cool habit of basically getting written up for yelling at customers, being on a 90-day warning, doing nothing for the 90 days, and then at about like day 97, 98, getting written up again.
It's
It's like you have one of those things on the wall that it's like it's been 3 days it's been 91 days since Dan yelled at a customer.
Like, literally beat me to the joke.
Yeah. So yeah, that
Out of
was
my way.
that
Need to
was
make
a
this
thing.
joke.
So Brian and Amber, the owners in Sacramento at the time, were like, fine, you know, now you're on a 180-day warning. Fuck. And this was at a point when we were doing haunted houses in the, in the arena, and these were like full legit haunted houses with like full stuff. I mean, it was they were quite impressive. And so on Halloween in, I think this would have been 99, 2000, doesn't matter. One of those 2 years, it all blends together. They had me working the front desk for that. Hijinks ensued when somebody showed up basically demanding that they get put in front of people, because they were, I didn't know at the time, apparently, that they were press. Well, nobody had fucking told me that they had given out like press passes and to make exceptions and to try to get people in type thing. So I feel like I was a little bit set up for failure on that, but that's a whole other thing.
It was all set up. They framed me.
So it's the media tells you.
Yeah. So shockingly, I snapped at this person. And then eventually Brian came down and did something and got them in and said, "Well, no, you should have put them in." I was like, "You didn't fucking tell me that you had done this shit. If you'd fucking told me, we would have had a different conversation." Cool. So that all sorts itself out. Next day, 2 days later, something, I show up for my shift and get called at the office, and I'm like, well, this is not going to go well. And yeah, it's like, you know, you did this, you're still in your probation period, we're sorry, but we've got to fire you. Yeah, pretty much. And it was like, okay, well. And so at that point, I was like, okay, so, like, can I stick around and keep running members' nights? And they were like, yes, please go ahead and do that. I'm like, I see no downside for me here, because at the time, I had picked up a second job. Must have been 99 then. So it wasn't like I had no income. I was working another place at the same time, and so it's like, okay, well, so now I'm, instead of working like 60 hours a week between both jobs and then still going to school, I'm going to be down to like 30 hours a week and school. Cool, this seems like a win. So yeah, so that's the story of how I got fired from Sacramento Laser Force, and yet continued to still run all the members' nights, all the tournaments, and never pay for laser tag.
I thought you were gonna be like, you got
all
yeah, like got fired for like yelling at people for not getting scared enough. inside the haunted house, which would have been
Oh,
amazing.
no. We had no problem with that. There was way too much pee that had to be mopped up those couple of years. You think I'm kidding?
Not at
No,
all.
I 100% know you're not kidding. That was
We don't recommend that, Shawnee. Nifty little arrangement. I should try and get fired. We don't recommend that you try and get fired.
Yeah, I'm gonna go out on a limb and say that my experience with that particular getting fired and how I maintained afterward, definitely atypical. So yeah, I do not recommend it as something for somebody.
When
to
Anderson
try.
Cooper comes in and just wants to do some journalism about your job, maybe don't yell at him.
You blonde-haired fuck. Yeah, once again, the thoughts and opinions of Old Man Than do not reflect the thoughts and opinions of the podcast, etc., etc.
Generally.
1/3 of the podcast.
So, like, your life band at the arena you worked at? That's amazing, Morgan. I mean, did you yell at Anderson Cooper for not putting him at the front of the queue? Because that'll happen. That'll get you there. Yeah, going back to the point that you made about like having supportive staff, and I think we've talked about this on several podcasts, but it makes such a huge difference. And you're right, like if you don't have like a lot of places are smaller owned sites, so our site is owner operated, and for the most part it's the owners are I'm gonna say their 50s, and you know, they have
I'm gonna be there sooner than I want to think.
You're rounding the drain is what you're doing. But so for them, like their kids sometimes work at Lasers. One of their sons in particular works at Lasers, but because he's there all the time, the last thing he wants to do is come in and play on a Saturday. And so that then becomes a key thing, that if you as a player want more members, one or some of you have to go to these public nights and play games. Have to play in a way that is I'd say like going eeasy on them, or like
to impress them, but not enough to depress them.
Exactly right.
You have to play in such a way that it's conducive to them wanting to approach you after the game.
It'd be like, oh wow, that's a good score. You're like, yeah,
and that's the other thing with this that can be remarkably challenging is when you're doing these those type of recruiting trips, because that's what they are. Yes, you're having fun playing Lasers, but you're recruiting. Like you're not allowed to have a bad night as far as your attitude goes. Like you can have a slightly, you can obviously have an off night playing, whatever, that happens. But if you're trying to recruit, you are not allowed to be a dickbag, is basically what it gets down to. Because at that point, like, you are basically becoming the face for what they think they're walking into on a different night. And
exactly.
So if you're there and just, absolutely smashing everything and being a dickbag about it, it doesn't really, it's not conducive to people wanting to do more of the thing. Now, obviously there are exceptions to that. There's a certain class of player that responds to just being smashed the whole time.
Yeah.
That class of player is not in the majority. They're really not. And then Stallion with the comment in chat, there's also the tightrope walk on recruiting kids that may be substantially younger than you and have that not be creepy. Yeah, no, that is 100%.
But that shit happens.
Yeah, so like when you have the face of a teenager, it becomes easier to to have those conversations without being creepy. Also, just don't be creepy. That goes a long way. But yeah, like yeah, it's such a fine line, yeah, between playing well enough to have them go, wow, that's really cool. Like, how did you get so good, and spark a conversation, and smashing them and then being a dick about it, because not only does that put players off, it really puts off ownership. Like, we again, with our old ownership, he didn't want us as the regular members base to go down on the weekends, and that is because he had one or two regulars that would go down on a Saturday and play all day with birthday parties and whoever. They just play game after game and smash the crap out of everyone that played, and were a real asshole about it. And that kind of thing drives their customers away in their eyes. So if you can
I mean, they're not
mitigate that,
wrong.
exactly right. Why would you want that kind of toxic behavior? I mean, we've talked about in the past, like, trying to rid any business or scene of toxicity is hugely important, because that toxic behavior rots the site from the inside. It's brutal.
Yeah, and that goes to a point of, yeah. I think every single one of us will say that we've either been toxic at some point, or we've allowed toxic behavior to go on for longer than it should have, because it was, oh, that's just this person, that's just how they are. And I mean, those become some really hard conversations to have sometimes.
Yeah, absolutely.
Especially when you haven't when you haven't really stamped it out quickly. If it's the longer it festers, the harder the conversation is, until potentially you get to that point of, oh, well, now it literally is the culture, and how do you deal with that?
Yeah. Yeah, that's exactly right. And like, I remember in my earlier playing days, I was when we were hyper competitive at Space Marines, and we basically just started playing Space Marines only, and this was kind of like towards the late 2000s. I was probably at my worst for toxic type behavior, and I had a turning point where I was so mad in a game that I took the phaser and I smashed it against the wall, and the whole entire front of the phaser exploded. And like, as soon as I did that, like, the first thing I was like, I'm aware, like, I've just crossed the line. That's terrible. And instantly picked up the pieces, took them out, and had a conversation with the owner at the time. Was just like, obviously this is unacceptable. This will never happen again. I understand if you want me to not come back. I'm happy to pay for the damage. We know that this isn't the kind of thing that you want, and this doesn't represent all of us. This is something that's isolated from me, and from that day on, never even came close to doing anything like that again. It was terrible, and he was pretty good about it, to be fair, or at least he was to my face. But yeah,
Well, you're still here.
yeah, still here. But I think cheers, says why.
This is why they need to have chairs in the arena to save the phasers. Take your aggression out on the poor chair.
To anyone in the know, actually, Russell, that was all a little bit of a have. But yeah, like, it was something that, like, it was such shit behavior. It's so, like, dumb. So, that's the kind of stuff you want to stamp out before it gets there. Like, if you can make sure that, yeah, you crush any of that kind of behavior before it gets to that point, then you're doing your site a service, really. You remember when the regular players at your site for the first year you played with dicks took a year of you not giving up for them to accept you? Yeah, it's the weird, like, so that's a responsibility of a members base to, I think, somebody said it in the chat, like, to try and do away with those clicks. I think maybe Morgan said it, or Smalley. But like, if you've got the numbers at members nights, it can be hard for an outsider to kind of break into the main group if nobody's there to support them. If everyone's just ignoring that new person, and it was you, Morgan. If everyone's kind of ignoring the new people and just kind of like doing their own thing, like, by all means, like, you're there to have fun too, but like, if you can be inclusive and make people want to be a part of your community, then they'll stick around. Like, I was kind of lucky because I had 2 or 3 people that I had met outside of Lasers that I also, when I got to Lasers, I was like, oh, you guys are here too. And that they were super nice, and it made me want to hang around with them more. So, yeah, if you can do that for other people, like, you really should. All of that stuff helps.
And there is, I mean, definitely something to the fact that lasers clicks are very insular. It's just one of those things that does take a lot to break down, and what it takes is also being consciously aware that you're doing / not doing it. That one of the things in Sacramento, back in the day, there were 2 very distinctive cliques within the Sacramento community, and there was almost no overlap between them, and there was a lot of animosity between them.
Sniping that happened.
Yeah, for something that, it's a thing.
DK, were you one of the popular kids? You were the leader, weren't you? I could tell.
DK actually had the distinction of being like pretty much the only person that got to move team-wise between the cliques. Like,
I was a triple agent, yo.
Yeah, it was very interesting with that as far as that goes. He was, actually, I'm pretty sure you actually were the only person that actually like moved back and forth between cliques team wise. I mean, it didn't happen after a certain point.
Yeah.
But it
was drunk most of the time, so yeah. I was like 15, heathen. I was not drunk.
When you like mid-20s, when you like properly drank?
Okay, well, so
story time.
Sorry, that yes, there were some laser tag players, Cordash, who
he's a bad influence. You need to stop hanging out with that guy.
Who introduced me to certain
love you, Cordy,
partying substances when I was younger. I shouldn't blame it on him, but I was at the parties where these things occurred. So yeah, partied up quite a bit in secondary school. I am blaming Cordash for us. You want to blame him too. He was a terrible influence on the both of us.
Yeah.
You know what happened in that pool.
So.
Yeah. Through the best parts of accurate. Exactly. Yeah, but yeah, outside of that, like once I got to uni and stuff like that, I really wasn't doing much of that until, really not much of it until Colorado.
Until Brisbane.
Until Brisbane. Yes. Brisbane was the first time that I had really cut loose in probably like 7 or 8 years regarding anything like alcohol related.
Yeah.
And then, it got dialed up the next year in Colorado because somebody introduced this drink called Fireball to me, and it was just a bad idea.
Yeah.
Actually, it was a great idea. I don't know why I'm thinking it was bad.
I still
yeah, but
remember getting back to the house that night and being so very disappointed in so many of you. It was
Stallion, you can't spell drink without DK.
no, let's see. That was the thing, is I was actually upset because 2004, Stallion, when you were over here, that was the year I was 1 year too young to go to the bar with the rest of you guys. When you and Al and Kordash and basically everybody else pretty much went and got absolutely smashed at Palm Street. And I still remember seeing the photo of Kordash having to be carried back into the car by Al and several other volunteers in the crowd. So I was upset I didn't get to partake that one, since it was an actual bar, not just some place where we're going out to drink, because I couldn't get in.
So, for all you budding members sites, if you're gonna binge drink, make sure you include everyone. Don't just
Right,
yeah, that's right. Yeah, so I mean, yeah, it's like part of the pool for, and if you guys in chat want to share your stories either in chat or like in Discord about what it is that made you want to start playing, or why you stuck around, please feel free to, because all that stuff is really interesting to know, to get to know you as people, but also, you know, the behaviors. But yeah, so yeah, like if you could build a fun environment, people disclaimer: the resupply does not support alcoholism.
It's not alcoholism, it's binge drinking. They're two different things, Shawnee.
we don't support binge drinking either. So let's just be clear on that.
That's right.
It's a terrible idea. So terrible.
Still no OnlyFans.
Okay, so if we have to summarize that section, it's don't be a dick to new people. It's just a thing that, yes, you're there for enjoyment. You have the right to enjoy yourself as well. But if you are actively trying to expand your scene and you are going to be the one who's going to embrace that, you have to take it on yourself to be a leader in that regard. And being a leader means you kind of need to put yourself second, at least for a little while, and say, look, what am I here for? I'm here to try to get other people involved. I need to find out what they're interested in. I need to find out how best I can get them to actually care about this thing, to make them want to come back. That's the only way you're going to grow your scene, is you do have to sacrifice a little bit. And that's true in like every team sport or company you build or whatever else you're doing, any kind of team situation. Like the person who's in a leadership position, it's very easy to tell if somebody is a good leader because they're willing to sacrifice, or if they're a shit leader because they make it about themselves.
Yeah. That's very well put, Smalley. Don't be a dick. Don't be a creep. Don't drink alone. Yeah. Well put, DK.
Or as Shawnee says, don't be a dick. Don't piss off management. Try to get yourself fired to get free laser force, and invite everyone when
I think he got free laser tag in spite of being fired.
He's
because of being fired.
Definitely the exception.
Yeah. Do not try to get yourself fired to get free laser force. I guarantee it's not going to work as well for you as it did for me.
I've seen it happen to several people over the last few years at Laser Force. Hasn't really worked out for them so well. Yeah. What other points were made that we can kind of steal and talk about on the show? Well, not steal, because most of the points are made by you, Than.
It's just reiterating, not stealing.
Yeah.
So I would say that's the thing, is don't start with Space Marines, like we said. At least don't start with Space Marines 5 if you're just starting from scratch. If you already have a Space Marines night, great. Then what you want to have probably is a secondary night. And maybe that starts as like a Friday or Saturday where you're just recruiting people who are in for, like 3-hour sessions or whatever. Because I feel like most sites I've been to have that, where on a Friday or Saturday night, it's like you can buy 3 hours of unlimited laser tag or something like that. That's kind of where you're going to find people who are interested in stuff. If you can get support from management, then maybe you say, hey, look, can we set up another night sometime during the week? Maybe a Thursday night or something like that. That has some advertising. That's a key point behind it, is people need to know about it to actually advertise to the general public. Hey, this is the night you're going to come and learn to play some other game. maybe it's Color Conquest, maybe it's Shadows, but something else that's a little bit different from standard. There people are like, huh, that was kind of different. That was interesting. But it's not so far removed from their experience that it's like, I don't even know what the fuck that is. Like if somebody tries to play Space Marines with no kind of context or anything, you're going to get lost. It's just too complex. So that's what I would do. And again, I think we talked about this on another episode about games that I would try to get people to play in order to get them ready for Space Marines. So I would play stuff like Dead Aim. I would play Gladiator. I would play Shadows. All that kind of night. Technically, SM5 your secondary night. Yeah, really, I guess that's probably a better way to put it, Ducky, is that your SM5 night's kind of like your, almost like a private group, I guess, because that's really only going to be the super advanced members.
Like League night.
Your other night is like your member night,
yeah,
where you play the member games and you gradually kind of build it up.
You thought of putting up a new game mode for a week before the event was getting organized at Botany just to get people interested. Yeah, and with with Laser Force specifically, the new game types that they have for Gen 8 are really fun. And, if you can really push those individual games, then yeah, once people start kind of getting the hang of those games and getting used to how to shoot and fire missiles and move around the maze and potentially shoulder, then that's when you start moving into those basically Space Marines, and at a push D&D. Not ugh.
No. I said that's more from a game complexity standpoint.
Yeah.
Not that I dislike the game. I have kind of a love-hate relationship with D&D.
It's great on Gen 8, man. Because they changed the way you spellcast. It's awesome.
Yeah. Well, hopefully, in a couple of months, I'll be able to, try it on Gen 8 and see if I have a different opinion about it.
D&D is too hard to explain to new players. Yeah, exactly right.
Yes.
To explain to new players, that's exactly right.
I got news to you. Explaining spellcasting is too hard to explain to some of the experienced members too.
Yeah, we have people playing for years who are like, I don't want to learn how to spellcast. It's like, you should, because it's awesome.
Exactly, Goldfish.
Yeah, D&D card.
I don't remember which direction is it heal and then bless and then just I don't know.
When do you get your first spell? Twilight Zone want to play some more of our advanced games? If yes, then Twilight Zone sessions for you. Twilight Zone runs for 4 hours, starting 7 PM, costs £13 per player. The fuck is a pound? And you can play games such as Highlander, Space Marines, Escape, Base Flags, Models, etc., etc. Yeah.
There you go. Exactly what you want.
So Stallion brought it up earlier. Some more things that players can kind of do, and to a push, I mean, you need membership support behind you, but is some sort of signage or poster, if you will, that promotes either the community or the advanced nights or both. So I know at our site they do have they've got like digital marketing. So on the screens, on the TVs, they've got a bunch in there. Some of them have the internal CCTV cameras that show in the maze, and some of them have rolling advertisements or advertisements, depending on where you're from. And I think part of those is they promote their lunacy nights, which is essentially their party nights. Because really, the party nights is where you recruit for for a Space Marines scene. The party night is a feeder night, but it only really works if you have someone promoting the more advanced members nights at those nights. When would we ever get? What? I don't know what's going on. An anonymous gifter. Oh, anonymous gifts. Thank you very much, whoever that was. That's really nice. I didn't even know you could anonymously donate subs in this. But that's
thank
awesome.
you, Mononymous.
Thank you for Mononymous gifts. You get some Reggies in chat for Mononymous.
Phenomena.
Steve has run out of words. I barely am able to use words on a regular basis, which does not bode well for running or being a part of a podcast. Thank you, Monogamous. Appreciate it.
Steve, how does your D&D character work?
I was just gonna fire and then throw it at the guy. well put. Yeah. If by that did you mean, and then DK say something far more eloquently than I do, and I say yes, that one.
That's the thing.
Where were your ridges earlier? Right here, bro. Right here. Those are partially yours too. I tricked everyone just for you. Plus, you have your own. Give yourself your own ridges. That's what I do every day. There's honestly a bunch of like.
I give myself a Reggie every day.
I mean, that is good for your long-term health. So
is
fine.
Is it a noun?
It's your mental health.
Is that a noun or a verb? Because if it's a verb,
yes.
Oh, it's versatile.
Yeah, perfect. Yeah. I'm gonna give you the best, Reggie. Reggie a day keeps the doctor away. This is content you sub for? Excellent. Love it. What does... Oh. I keep thinking... I was like, what the hell is Ka? But it's Cards Against Humanity.
Ka card.
Ka card. What? Is that your adult film name? We've gone off the rails.
Yes, like Morgan said, this is how you know that you're actually an experienced member is once you're in on all the inappropriate jokes that are made by the community.
And look, we like to welcome new people here, so just for you, get a Reggie in you.
Yeah.
So you're
a complete degenerate. You're not going to fit in the laser clicks. So just a heads up.
I mean, there's a point though. There's that. I would say that degenerate behavior is a spectrum. You want to be at the lower end of that spectrum.
Yeah.
Hang on.
This distraction is brought to you by Reggie's. A Reggie a day keeps the doctor away.
That's right. It's great advice. Thank you for that, Heathen.
I'm so glad it's only internal to you.
Oh, you guys. Oh, yeah. Of course, you can't hear that.
Yeah, because we very smartly have the stream muted and nothing else is coming through besides you.
So. Like you guys only want to hear you once.
Yeah, I have to be like Resupply Jesus and like hear everything. It's bullshit.
But you do have to hear for it.
That's true. I do.
Yeah, and as Goldfish just said in chat, oh, that won't be abused at all.
So
yeah,
there's a minimum. There's
I didn't know what.
50 bits will get you. Will get you. Text to speech. Anything less than that. And
I say we take off and nuke the entire site from orbit.
Cheers for that, nuke. I need to find something. I try to make it so that everything faded out to orange when somebody drops a nuke, but orange doesn't work in here for some reason.
The rest of the light spectrum there doesn't look like it actually work well for it. So yeah, that's fair.
Should dark mode, Steve.
Should dark mode. I mean, I guess.
In your house.
Yeah. Dan's like, why did you close all the curtains and turn all the lights out? What's about to happen?
Turn on dark mode.
You're better off not knowing. It's fine.
That's a great idea, Morgan. I'm gonna figure out how to make that happen.
I like to close the curtains when I give myself a Reggie.
I mean that is generally safer since I'm pretty sure his front window does face the street. So.
Oh yeah, like there's and normally traffic is backed up past our house too, so people are just like, oh, what's going on over there? I was doing the dishes, and some dude in a high vis t-shirt is just like looking at me while I'm doing the dishes. I'm like, this sucks. Let's not encourage orange skin tone. Didn't work out the last time.
He makes a very valid point with that.
Too soon. We still have 5 more days. Don't start World War III.
Was there anything else that you guys would you consider of your neighbors' mental well-being? Sometimes. I'm just talking about the people that face the street. The neighbors either side of my house. That's a different story. Yeah. Do you guys have anything else that you wanted to kind of add to this combo before we, I suppose, wrap up this part of the show? We don't really have anything else to talk about, so.
Who cares?
Yeah, fine. I have some stuff I want to talk about, but like it's like housekeeping shit, so we can do whatever.
I don't know. It all boils down to don't be a dick, and if you're trying to recruit people, you have to approach it with the standpoint of, yes, this is about them, it's not about you. Yes, you benefit in the long term because you get more laser tag players and stuff, but yeah, that's the thing, is if you're going to recruit, you have to be nice about it, and you have to take time out away from Space Marines 5 to actively go and try to build the scene. That's all there is to it. And if you're really lucky, you have employees at the facility who will either do it for you or who will help you along the way. But if you're just the voice in the wilderness, then maybe it's got to be you. In which case, you're going to have to use some charisma.
So
roll the charisma check, Steve.
Nailing it every time. To add to that, actually, is an interesting point, because I know that there are a lot of people that play laser tag where that social interactions are not strong suits for some people, and I think if that's you, if you're in a position where you're like, well, I kind of struggle to have, I'm a little bit introverted maybe, or I struggle to have conversations with people I don't know, or people I do know for that matter, being aware of that and maybe asking for help for other people in the site, or ownership or whoever, that's something that if you're self-aware enough, might be really important, because if you would like to grow the scene, but you're not sure if you have like the people skills to do it, track down somebody who does, and be like, hey, you're charismatic, go on a recruitment drive for me, and they'll say yeah, or something similar.
And as soon as we find that person, we'll let you know.
Yeah. Feeling personally attacked right now? Not at all.
Social
If
anxiety.
we were socially well adjusted, we would have gotten something other than laser tag.
Potentially accurate.
But yeah.
Yeah, that's and that, but that also, sometimes being at lasers, like sometimes that is your comfort zone, and so sometimes you're going to be better in person at lasers than anywhere else. Like, guilty as charged for a number of years. Like, my personality at lasers when I was working for Friday and Saturday nights versus anywhere else, night and day, because there was a comfort level to it, because I knew what I was doing with it. Now trying to temper that and recruit people did actually work, believe it or not, to certain extents. But yeah, that is definitely a thing where you need to be self-aware about yourself. That was a horrible sentence. God damn, you'd never know I'd get paid to be on conference calls for 8 hours a day, and actually talking on them. Having that self-awareness to know that maybe I'm not the best person in context to make some of these approaches, and being able to have other people to help with those approaches, it becomes a thing. The challenge there being like, if you are the only person that can do the thing, well then
we had that kind of dynamic. Like me and you had that dynamic within our Nats teams, where you were very good at like anything analytical, or like making sure we were where we were supposed to be or whatever, and left the dealing with people's interactions.
I 100% left you to deal with people in like 90% of instances, unless there was something very, very specific and angry I needed to say to somebody. Because there were definitely certain instances where there were very specific and angry things that I needed to say that you didn't need to be the one to pass the message. It needed to be direct. But that is, that's in the context of a National Space Marines 5,
which is
team,
different,
or specific Space Marines 5 stuff.
Delegate the chain of yelling.
That's right.
Yeah, definitely. That's that's not the right frame for recruitment at that point. So,
you got the very best grade in English, which is pretty rare. Can I word in person? Can I fuck?
I hope so. It makes life much richer.
That's right. Can you, Reggie? That's the question. We don't need an answer to the last question. That's right, Traj. We did a player profile with Traj, right, back in the day.
it's been a while, but yeah.
Oh, we should do some of those again coming up. That's sorry. My mind, like, you know me.
Hey,
We're doing our pre-planning meeting right now.
Yeah.
Yeah,
We're planning for our planning meeting.
Everybody who's watching the stream right now, this is live behind the scenes stuff where we're show prepping for future shows.
We're just as incompetent then as we are now.
I used to listen to a podcast, and their whole premise was their podcast seemingly was about talking about upcoming podcasts. It was a really weird thing. They would just be like, "Oh, we got this podcast coming up," and then on that podcast they talk about more podcasts that they have coming. And I was like, "Oh, that's a winning formula, because you never run out of things to talk about." The show has prep, sort of, Russ. Prep in the way that, like, 10 minutes before we go live, Than sends me and DK a message going, "Hey, where are you guys?"
That was a true story for him today, by him the way. But we already knew that DK was possibly going to be late because of his 3 hours of meetings immediately preceding. So
that's right.
But hey,
I made it.
Yeah, he was here. Goldfish says prep for housekeeping. Yeah. Okay.
Prep for housekeeping. Yeah. So was there other stuff? Hang on.
I don't know. I feel
include however. Yeah, we covered that. Balance. People got. What does that say? There is a balance, though, that people are going to make mistakes, be resistant in the initial. This is for when you were showing a shoulder.
Oh yeah. So this part we haven't even touched on, with the when you start actually bringing people in, and you have an awareness of the wider community, what's that point at which you start training the show a shoulder into them. And that's a dicier question than it sounds on the surface, because the immediate answer is right off the jump, you have to smash it into their heads right off the jump. And I don't necessarily disagree with that if you're something like a Brisbane, where you've got this established league structure with all these people that know how to do the thing. That's great. When you're in the absolute immediate building a members night, and you're literally just trying to get people to come and do the thing and be excited about the thing, I think it becomes such a weird issue, because what's the point at which, when you're doing these nights, and this may be an Auckland question specifically, because Auckland has so many sites now, which is fucking fantastic. Do you immediately, when people start coming to this other night, bring up, hey, there are other people that other centers in our immediate region, within a 30-45 minute drive, that play this game, and it's really cool if, when you get to a point, you go and you play with at these other sites. But to do that, like, there's a rules convention that they use, and do you start trying to bring that into people, like, after they've come back, like 3 or 4 or 5 times, like they've built the consistency of coming? Is that the point at which you start doing that? Or do you try to do it a little sooner? Because we know how difficult it is to break muscle memory habits. you know, if people get used to just, you know, doing that around corners and over walls, well, then, you know, then you have to kind of break them of, you have to break them of that habit. But if they're like, well, I don't really care that if I'm ever going to play with anybody else, you know, then you run into that issue as well. Um, so, you know, that that's not necessarily a question I think really has an answer. I think that's a question that is completely dependent upon the players that you have showing up, because maybe, you know, maybe you've got, you know, 8 or 10 people showing up that are all like, they all get super excited about the idea of, oh, we can go play this game against other people at a different site. Well, they're probably going to be a lot more receptive to, you know, okay, well, this is what has to be done. Sure, we'll do that. Versus that same 8 or 10 people, they're like, yeah, nah, bro, we don't care. We just want to shoot some things with lasers. And if that's the case, like if they're, you know, if that's, you know, kind of where the members' night falls, you have to be okay with that. You have to be okay with the fact that, you know, maybe you're not going to build a members night into something that's going to go play different places. Maybe you're just going to build it to a point that, you know, people are going to show up every week or 2 weeks, depending upon what the scheduling is, and they're going to play a few hours of advanced games, more advanced games, whatever, and that's just going to be it. And they don't really have any care for the cross-site play, or, you know, your stupid show a shoulder or chasing rule.
Subpar lasers is still better than no lasers. So you do what you can. Like, yeah, I think Ducky's kind of right. It's a concept you introduce at your advanced games nights. You don't need to enforce. Those who embrace it, you can target for SM5. So it's one of those things that, like, you introduce it as soon as you can, but no sooner. It's that whole when you can that is so subjective and really hard to nail down.
Bye, Stu. Thanks for stopping by, bro. Oh, wait, no, you're not going. Sorry.
Yep, that's correct.
I've gone from not being able to talk to not being able to read. Cool. I think it comes down to, as well, to how you teach it, or how you how you approach it with newer players. So if you embrace it as a thing that is just how you play, and but you don't put like mad emphasis around it for like new players. And I would say like a new player, a month, I would say like 3 months for me is when players, if somebody's been coming for 3 months, it means that they kind of dig the game. They kind of, you know, they're showing an interest that's more than something, oh, well, you know, it's more than a fleeting thing. They actually kind of want to put some time into it. And if the whole time, you know, you hold your regulars up to a standard of, okay, we show a shoulder.
This distraction is brought to you by
This distraction
Specsavers,
brought to you
where
by
Steve should go
Specsavers,
to.
where Steve should go to. You should just have me do the voice instead.
I don't need to. I can hear it. so can everyone in chat over here. It's just you guys. But I really dug your impression. That was great. Yeah, then it's how you if it's something that's built in as something that's kind of normal, but you don't strictly enforce it for new players. But it's more
Make
of
it the best
a
effort.
yeah. Then it's not quite as shocking for them to switch to like if you're only playing, you know, casual games, then making the switch to competitive Space Marines and putting more of an emphasis on it. DK was out of sync, yeah.
Good.
Then
Glad they tooling robots.
yeah, then it becomes less of a shock for them to be like, oh, now I have to change. I've been playing this game for 3 months. Now I have to change how I play the game. I have to start from scratch again. And I think that's part of the reason why it's so hard for the majority of the UK scene to integrate with the scene that we play, because coming from like a zone style play. We talked about this before, so it's not really that relevant on this podcast, but yeah, it's why it's such a hard switch for them to go from not showing a shoulder to showing a shoulder. And
So that's the other thing that it just kind of occurred to me too, is that there's kind of a difference between changing your play from, well, there's no obligation to show your shoulder, but there also is kind of a taboo against blocking your sensors versus, oh, well, blocking your sensors is part of learning how to play effectively.
Right.
Like if you're playing zone, QZR, stuff like that, like knowing how to stand properly so you're concealing as many sensors as possible, that's just how you become a better player. And I'm not knocking it, that's part of the culture that develops. But I feel like it was at least a little bit easier for us in SAC because relatively early on, I feel like there was always kind of just a social taboo. And that's just might be a complete local cultural idiosyncrasy that we're just like, no, blocking your sensors isn't cool. You can't like huddle up your shoulders and stuff like that and not let people shoot you. Like that's really bad.
So I can actually tell you why that was a thing within the Sacramento culture, and it was because we did have 2 QZR sites that were within 30 minutes each way of us, and part of the thing that was the differentiator, or one of the differentiators for us, was that because we had the shoulder sensors and people couldn't block their sensors, I mean, couldn't in quotes, with no chest sensor, that you could still do it, but like people would come to play, you know, to general public, and they would be ecstatic that, you know, people weren't just, you know, in a corner covered up and they couldn't shoot them at all. So that was, and that kept getting fostered by the ownership at the time, that we didn't want to be QZR in that regard.
Not that Huey didn't try.
Not that Huey didn't try,
but that's why he never got any better.
Yeah,
that is why he never got any better. So that's a specific Sacramento cultural reason for why there was never ever a culture of sensor blocking in our scene. You know, bar obviously just the, you know, we did have a couple of players that like to do this, and with Gen 4 guns with the phaser sensors being constantly broken, that was problematic at times.
The
old Reggie.
Yeah, give the old Reggie.
So yeah. Oh, and Heathen says, you know, it's called camping. It's a legit strategy. There's a difference between camping and literally just, you know, slinking under a wall, putting a Gen 4 gun, which I don't think you've ever played on, and just putting it over the wall and doing this and just periscoping with no sensor on the gun and just shooting people. It was
it is garbage.
It gets boring. That's the thing.
Yeah, and with the like.
So maybe that's how you eased it in, is all I'm trying to say.
Yeah.
You first establish the culture of it's not cool to block your sensors with anything but a wall.
Yeah.
And then it's like, okay, well, eventually, maybe we also remove the wall part from the equation. You just kind of shift your stance a little bit.
I think you do it with the intention. Well, for me anyway, like when we bring new players through, there's always one or two people during members night that will lose their shit, even at newer players who are just like round the corner, and I'm just like, there's no time for that. As a group of more experienced players, you have to know that they don't know the difference. They don't know what they're doing is something that, you know, is against your rules. And so whilst making them aware of that, you have to do it in a way that's more coaching rather than scolding, because anytime you tell someone off for something they like had no idea about or like are still learning, it's just that's a surefire way to get people not wanting to be around stuff, or around you.
Yeah, don't say stuff.
Yeah,
it's not stuff they want to be away from.
I mean, you.
It's and that circles back perfectly to one of the one of the first points that we've made and keep making. Don't be a dick.
Don't be a dick.
And and understandably, everybody gets a little heated inside the arena. It happens. If you're a dick inside the arena to a new player after the game, go calmly talk to that person and say and explain the thing.
No. Firstly, you apologize for being a dick, and then you explain the thing.
Well, I thought the apology was kind of implied in that.
Classic fan. Always apologizing without apologizing.
It's a non-apology.
Yeah, I'm sorry that you're such an idiot.
I'm sorry you're too stupid to know how to play this game.
Venom says never apologize. Ducky says
yeah,
no
never
apology.
apologize, and also continue berating the player after you leave the arena instead of explaining why you were a dick in there.
Yeah. Like as a general rule
just tell them why they're wrong.
As a general rule of thumb, yeah, apologies can't be implied. Some people are a bit dense, and not only that, but like if you were a dick, cop to being a dick. People make mistakes. Yeah. It happens. But when you make mistakes, that part of being a decent person is not being decent all the time, but like acknowledging when you're not decent and then making amends for it. And part of that is apologizing. It's a really hard thing to do and like mean.
Even general culture, people are just like, oh, well, if you step out of line once and suddenly you're canceled. I'm like, no, you just apologized. Don't be an asshole about it, bro.
Yeah.
Like, that's called human growth.
I've been around a lot of people like throughout my life who just like, we just fight. Even if we're wrong and we know we're wrong, we fight because who wants to lose? I'm like, that's a dumb way to live. That's real stupid, but whatever.
Yeah, because sometimes you are wrong.
Okay, so I stormed the Capitol. I don't need to apologize. Shut Russ. Yeah.
Yeah.
Damn generic Russ. Yeah.
Hashtag casual fascism.
I mean, who likes losing but still don't be a dickbag? Exactly. Don't be a dick. And if you are a dick, apologize for being a dick.
Yeah.
I'm sorry you were an idiot. Yeah, that's not an apology.
Yeah,
that's a Ducky apology.
Yeah. So,
and that's a Ducky apology. That was definitely a fan apology in the old days for sure. I may have used that once or twice a night. Yeah.
Learning to lose with the right mind frame.
It's been 0 days since they chewed someone out.
Learning to lose with the right frame of mind helps a lot. Yeah, so I for anyone that's either played Laser Force with me or has watched me on Thunderdome Thursday, you know that I am not a very good loser. And and I can like it's almost when I'm at my worst is when I lose. Even like playing board games with my wife, like she'll school me and then I'll go and have a sulk. I'm like, ugh, I don't even want to play this dumb game anyway. Ugh. But yeah, if you
you're so dramatic, Steve.
Such a crybaby. But if you can, once you calm down, you apologize, because not apologizing makes it worse. Played Laser Force with is also known as getting our asses kicked by G&D for many of us. Some of us, maybe not in the international scene, not in the last 10 years, I want to say. All bets are off Monopoly. Monopoly sucks. I hate that game. Yeah, Steve has a very good podcast poker face. That's right, I do. This is the G&D who at the triple threat scored 14,000, dropped almost 6 nukes and still lost. That guy was real mad.
The true James Harden of laser tag.
And there is some audio from that day as well floating around, I think the clip section, so
it was great.
You can go find that one. That was a real high point in my playing career. Call that pulling a Rusty. It's exactly what it should be called.
Rusty still usually wins the game, so
yeah. Ooh,
at least in my experience. I can't cop to every Brisbane member night. I don't know what those are like. I wish I did, but
yeah. So, whoa, what happened to your face? Turn the sun off.
No. what happened to my face is I had to reload the webpage that Twitch was in because Chrome is being stupid.
You're like a
I think you just
vampire.
burned off some of your moles.
You're like a vampire who YouTubes sunrises. Great.
Yeah, that's the fun of having Twitch set for dark mode, and then it refreshes, and it's like, oh, look, the screen is white. Blinded by the fan. Yeah, thanks, Goldfish. Thanks.
Why
Appreciate
bother
that.
wearing a hat at this point if you're gonna do that? That's right. Might as well just reflector and guide ships through the fog.
I mean, I could because I actually got my haircut today, so I have even less hair than usual, and so it would be a beacon. The beacons would be lit. Gondor calls for aid. Is pretty much how that would be.
Oh.
Both hairs.
He's like Homer.
Yes, the top and the bottom.
Who's the bottom? So, was there anything else that you guys would like to mention?
I feel like at this point we have beat all the dead horses bloody.
As a recap, don't be a dick.
One.
That's number one.
Yeah.
Do your recruiting with the backing and management at the party nights and stuff. Really foster like good relationships with the players that you do manage to get coming along. Don't be a dick. And what was the last one? That's pretty much
Don't
it,
be a
right?
dick.
Don't be a dick. That's right. You remembered.
And really apologize when you've made a mistake.
He apologized for being a dick.
Don't be a dick and apologize for being a dick when you inevitably are.
These motherfuckers. If you're a dick, don't apologize. Never apologize.
America.
Binge drink together. Don't be a dick to management is huge. You wanna be
Right.
friends with the owners. If you're a player, you play on a regular, you're in their house. That's their business. That's their livelihood. So never, you want to show them the utmost respect when you're in their house. And that goes for like any laser tag establishment that you're at. If you're in somebody else's backyard or in their house, show them the respect that they due. Don't assume that like you could just go behind the counter or like help yourself to drinks or take over their party nights or whatever. Yeah, you're in their house. Show them some damn respect, damn it.
And Traj actually does make another good point in chat. Point out to newer players that regulars can be dicks, and try not to take certain things personally. I mean, just letting people know off the jump that there is a possibility of being yelled at for something can go a long way to helping diffuse that situation if it comes up. Just even just a pre-night speech of, hey, and this is obviously as you've built a little bit, and maybe even off the jump, saying, hey, we're playing we're playing different games. It's sometimes a little more serious. People might in the arena get a little heated. Having that sort of pre-warning can definitely help reduce the shock value of it happening. I mean, then you still go and apologize if you were a dick, but definitely add the pre-warning in.
Like, I mean, here's the thing. Like, if you go to pick up basketball or pick up football or soccer or whatever else or something like that, people get intense when they compete. Everybody knows that happens in any time you're in any kind of competitive situation. The difference is if you are constantly going back to the same place to play basketball and the same three people are always dicks, it's easy. People can go find another game someplace else. Laser tag, it's a lot smaller of a world, so we have to be more careful about the kind of culture that we're creating, because people will just go do something else completely different because they may just lose interest in laser tag altogether. So that's kind of what we're fighting against, is like, yes, everybody knows kind of intuitively that when you're in a competitive situation, people are going to get intense, but not everybody's buying into that wholesale right off the bat.
That's exactly right.
Yeah,
And that's the last thing you want to do is
people,
like chase them to a different
people are
site.
coming and paying money.
Yeah.
People are coming and paying money. They're trying to have fun also. Yeah, there is a certain amount of that you have to respect. For sure.
All right. That's probably a good place to leave that one. Thanks everyone for your input on this discussion, because it's something that, like, I think everyone strives to have more, or to boost their membership numbers, because it's win-win. Like, the site wins because they generate more revenue, and we win as a community because there's more. Oh, hey Gray, what up, dog? There's more opportunity for you to play Laser Force when there's more people, and the larger the scene grows, you know, the more benefits that come with that. It's great.
And actually, you know, another great comment. Don't be toxic, and when you see toxic, call it out.
Love that comment.
Yeah,
love it.
Yeah, that's Goldfish. That is a 100% accurate comment, and yeah, should definitely hopefully be in the forefront of everybody's mind when, you know, when they're, you know, even doing tournament stuff. Also, like in general, just everything.
Yeah.
See toxic behavior, call it out.
So before we go, couple housekeeping things. So the first thing is, and I was waiting until I saw his name pop up in the chat, or at least waiting until the end to do this.
Water sucks. It really sucks.
Cheers.
Let's give him Reggie first.
Every time. Is Mr. Ninja Jack in chat. So I want to give him a quick shout out because I don't think we had done yet on the show. But it was loud. So our boy Ninja Jack, Nate from Auckland Laser Force, he is doing going dry for the guys. So he has given up alcohol for 2 months. From the 11th of January, I'm reading this on my screen over here, 11th of January to the 12th of March this year, to support the work of the Mental Health Foundation. If you would like to help him raise some funds, and I highly implore you to do so, if you'd like to make a donation, click on the link that's in the chat. When you're doing another All 16, not till next year, bro. Yeah, if you want to give to, if you want to help him out, he was super instrumental in helping us raise funds for our hashtag Gaming for Charity. So if you guys could return the favor, head to that link that's in chat and donate today. That would be super awesome of every one of you. He has a goal of $1,000. If we can help him achieve and smash that goal, that would be amazing. You gave up alcohol once. That 15 minutes was the worst month of your life. So yeah, if you guys could get behind Nate, that would be amazing. And what else but to use our platform to help you know, raise more funds for more forget the words, good causes. That'll do.
Yeah.
Good stuff and
good things. Do a good thing.
Especially with the cause, you know, the cause he's going for being for mental health, NZ. I mean, you know, I know I've made this point before in different, you know, different streams that we've done, that, you know, I mean, we acknowledge, I mean, on this show, you know, we've all acknowledged that, you know, we each have our own set of mental health challenges, and I you know, mentioned that I'm going to be starting therapy in a couple of weeks to deal with some of my shit. So anything that we can do as a community to continue to positively normalize conversations around mental health, positively support things around mental health, is a thing that is worth doing. I mean, this community is always going to support things that help kids. I feel like we're always going to support things that encourage positive mental health, because so many of us, Reed, probably all of us, had our own, challenges either as kids or now as adults with, various things. So yeah, I think both of these things are very near and dear to the community's heart, even if the community isn't always necessary, even if individual members of the community aren't always necessarily maybe directly aware that it is as near to their heart as it actually is. That sentence made almost no sense, but I think everybody got what I was going for.
Yeah. Unlike me, I've always been very attractive and popular. Me too, Russ. It's the hair, bro. But yeah, like it is something that it touches all of us. So mad props for you, Nate, for setting yourself a challenge. It's probably quite tough, but yeah, if we could do all we can to help you out, and if in our community we'll get in behind you and help you as well. So good luck with the fundraising. We're going to continue to pimp the shit out of it, so you guys will probably get this message a bunch over the next 2 months, but I think it's worthwhile. So that was the first thing. Second thing was we have some streams coming up this week. Tuesday, hopefully we will be back with Laser Force Live. Last week was pretty fun. We played, actually, whilst I remember, we played a game called I think it was DM Ultimate, a Deathmatch Ultimate at Lasers last week, and
what is so ultimate about it?
there was like so many more power-ups. Please don't do a blue and cancel all the streams. I don't know what that means. So there was just heaps more power-ups. Some of the sound effects and stuff that were coming through was awesome. He cancelled 3 in a row, which is probably for mental well-being, dude. Do what you gotta do. Is he actually going to talk about playing laser tag? Yeah, so I mean, we play laser tag on Tuesdays sometimes. So yeah, DM Ultimate was really fun. I'll try and get like an actual rundown of the game, but it seems to be deathmatch just with better sound effects and more power-ups. So yeah, it was really cool. We played a bunch of other games. Fun day. And we also implemented the Twitch chat predictions as well, which really adds an interesting dimension to watching people play laser tag when you can like bet channel points on the outcomes of the games. It's awesome. It's more of a spectator sport. Didn't play Wabbit Season. No one should play that game. I don't want to force shame, but Wabbit Season, yuck. So streams coming up this week. Tuesday, we have no stream tomorrow. Won't be a stream tomorrow at this stage. We'll see what happens. I really want to smash out the last the last boss of Doom, so we can start on a new game. But if we don't play Laser Force this week, then I'll play Doom. Next Thursday, obviously, we have Thunderdome Thursday. We'll be back for the resupply next week, and also next week we'll be back with DK's D&D Chronicles, which has been fun as shit. Things have gotten a little weird down in the caves. We met some new friends.
They always do.
Yeah, they always do. Start on a new game. You mean the DLC?
I'm just trying to figure out how in the hell DK hasn't TPK'd you guys yet.
He's trying. His dice rolls.
It's because Steve demanded that we have chat interaction, and chat bails them out every time.
Tudor had a good swim. Tudor certainly did have a good swim. He got swept downstream and failed multiple times to get out. And he was invisible, so no one could help him.
That's problematic.
Yeah, ask Russ about swimming.
The other thing I mentioned it on a different stream. I think I mentioned it on Thursday. But I'll mention it here too. There's a stream I have in mind. I want to get a Lego that you guys know the Lego Nintendo console. Have you guys seen that? By the looks on your faces, no. So basically, it's the original Nintendo plus like a small TV and a controller and the game, all made out of Lego. It's a Lego set, and I want to get one of those, and I want to build it on stream. So I've been messing around with like different cameras and shit to make that happen. So we'll see. We just got a Twitch payout of everyone's excellent money, so maybe I'll buy Lego with it. We'll see.
So then when someone tells you to drop the controller, do you have to like kick it over and start
yeah.
again?
Fuck. So that is something that I want to do. There's also talks of a resupply adjacent Texas Hold'em tournament or at least game that I'd like to organize at some point, because we don't have enough ways to take your money. I want to start winning it from you during poker. So, yeah, we'll see. Is there anything else you guys want to bring up?
I think
we're
cool.
I think we're good at this point.
I can't wait to TPK you guys on D&D next week, because I've now been challenged by Than. So
don't listen to again the thoughts and views of you got it.
If only there were a second black pudding, I could have got you guys.
A second what?
The last thing that you thought.
Oh yeah, the black pudding.
Yep.
Oh, that made me think of like actual black pudding, which made me hungry.
Well, good thing it's the end of the stream.
Yeah, I'm gonna go get some black pudding and some coffee. Right. Anything else from chat? No. Then he gets to build it again. Exactly right. We'll stretch that shit out all the way. But for this week, I've been Guy Next Door.
I've been DK.
And I've been Than.
Have you? What happened to your camera?
He's permanently happy Than now.
Wow, that's amazing.
Oh.
See, he was there. We got so close. We got so close. We almost got through the whole stream without difficulties. We had to throw a win in, otherwise you guys might start thinking that we're imposters. Make an emote. Yes, please do.
It's so good. It's so good. Right at the end, I thought you were just happy.
Nope.
I thought you were waiting for us to do our exits.
No, pulling the curtain back. Like, so my computer has been basically mem leaking the last like 20 minutes of this pod. Like I'm gonna have to reboot after we're done. And so
oh god,
the stream died on me. Obviously, my camera's died on me. You guys have been running it like 3 to 5 frames per second. It's been fucking terrible, but I was hoping to it would get through.
Chat is so good. Placeholder Than,
which I can't see because everything's died.
Happy Than, you meme. Make it an emoji. You thought Than was happy. This is scary. I've never seen him smile for so long.
This is the picture of Than in the attic that just ages very slowly.
Look at that jaunty elbow.
There's so many flames.
That's the best picture that Than has ever taken. Amazing. Someone should frame this. Oh, goodness me. All right. Always remember to backtrack, kids. We will see you next week. Than, you're so happy.
Thank you.
Always so happy. See you guys. Where's the button? Fuck, I can't find the button again. I'm stupid. Everything's in here. Whatever.
That's what she said.
I've been throwing daggers I'm a well-known stranger, walking my own path. Gave up all my mysteries just to get a laugh. You keep me hanging on so tight. Sometimes I just have to wonder, do you know wrong from right? 'Cause you don't know what I know. But you don't feel the way I feel. All these places I wanna